Good evening and welcome to our city council meeting. That's not a regularly scheduled one because we had Memorial Day yesterday. So today's date is Tuesday, May 28, 2024. The time's 5:30 p.m. We are at 10 West State Street, the city council chambers. And let's see, I guess before calling us to order and reading the, no, we do that next. I do the proviso after that. Let's pledge the allegiance now.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Optimists were out yesterday putting all the flags up around town. That's just always fun to see on that Memorial Day. We are called to order, and would you read the roll call, and then I'll read the public proviso.
Kell.
Here.
Waddyhoff.
Here.
Mitchell.
Here.
Nichols.
Here.
Schneider.
Here.
Thompson.
Here.
Full house, very good. Well, 6 of us anyway. The public comment portion of the meeting is the time to address the mayor and city council on topics that are not on the agenda. If you wish to be heard and make a comment, do so at this time by telling us your name and address, approaching the mic that's up here. Limit your comments to 3 minutes or less unless I authorize more than that. And address your comments to the mayor and council as a whole and don't individually point out any member up here. That is, let's see, response from elected officials or staff is at the mayor's discretion. I don't remember having that as part of my proviso at the very top, but the microphone is open, so if anybody would like to approach it and speak, now is the time.
Hi there, I'm Dave Grieve. Address is 2327 South 5th Avenue. How do I get this? Is it that little right there? Ta-da! How about that? So anyway, I just try to use my 3 minutes here to give a little update on Doodah's Diner. The purchase and the sale went through, and I'd really like to thank Jack Brimmer and Samara Torres. They have done a fabulous job on the management side of this. They're a young couple, and I couldn't be more pleased with their engagement and activities, and they got some good ideas to slowly increase that business going up. So a little bit of history, because I am a history buff and love it. The history of Doodah's is kind of an interesting thing. It was actually came from a song from Stephen Foster in 1850 called Camptown Races. The song goes, you know, Camptown ladies sing the song Doodah, Doodah. And it's an interesting song because it's he was a northerner that went down to the south in the 1850s for the horse racing and all the southern bells and the pomp and circumstances of that. And now we have the Kentucky Derby, but that was considered risque behavior, betting on a horse. And now we have the Kentucky Derby and casinos. So anyway, it's kind of interesting, but the word selection that he used that was based on the dialect of the South, which has a lot of undertones from the northern England and also France, which is kind of interesting. But Doodah's cannot be copyrighted because the song is sold, it's called public domain, and there's, interesting enough, there's a Doodah's in Wichita, Kansas, where I spent 30 years in aviation, and it's a standing room only diner. They actually bought the building next to them to make a waiting room. Yes, so anyway, so this is, they didn't have albums back in the day in 1850, but they were properly recorded, like Oh Susanna was another famous one from Stephen Foster. And this old album actually gave you the music and lyrics so you could play along and stuff like that, which was kind of fun. Anyway, so Doodah's, how did Doodah's in Marshalltown come around? It was established in 2005 by Craig and Chris Robinson. And they ran a diner in Gilman, Iowa for a number of years, and when they got the opportunity to come into Marshalltown to a bigger environment and all, and they got hooked up with a local native designer, T.J. Monzo, who was kind of a famous designer in the day, and she redecorated the whole diner and gave it the Americana look and all that kind of stuff. And it was published in the TR and the Des Moines Register and in the USA Today. There was a filmed show that they were going to try and tape it, but she wouldn't give up the rights, so it would have been on like an ABC show also. But it's kind of like that diners, drives, and dine-ins that's popular today that highlights diners, and that attracted a lot of business to Marshalltown to come see that diner. So now what happens to Dudas now? We got the second generation coming in, and like I said, I'm really tickled pink with Jack and Samara. They're doing a great job. Samara's got a birthday. They're up in Kansas City, or they would have been here today. So anyway, but we're keeping the same American food and working to go to some better to-go orders to help people in the downtown area get better lunches and stuff, and moving into the new system with a POS system. And coming from aviation, I love acronyms. That's point of sale, not piece of. So a little show and tell here. I saw in the paper the other day that back in the day, Wendy's used to use a Marshalltown trowel to flip burgers. Well, my dad worked there back in that day, and that's a prototype burger flipper. So that they were working on the handles and stuff to go to non-wood handles at that time. I don't think that one ever hit production. But another little piece of, there's my collection of Marshalltown trowels, and I had to buy those. I did not get an employee discount, though. Those were purchased later date. So anyway, I ran across this. A friend of mine showed this to me on Marketplace back in Wichita right before I came back up on this trip. And this is a throatless shear. This is used in sheet metal stuff. It'll cut large pieces of metal, and you can do curves and all kinds of stuff. And it was patented in Marshalltown in 1912 by none other than Dave Lennox was the designer, and known as the throatless shear. And that was back when it was Marshalltown Manufacturing, and then of course it branched into Lennox and then many other things. So long history of a lot of patents. Matter of fact, I looked up the patents, and just since 2000, 306 patents have come out of Marshalltown in all the different companies. So that's this town was built on manufacturing and the arts, so interesting history. All right, the Oddfellows Hall, that's the upper part of Dudas, and that's what my passion is, and I'm working on slides for that. Hopefully next time I'll come back and have some more information on that. Talk about fascinating history, that's why I'm still working on it, but more to come on Oddfellows, and hopefully one day we'll have some cool stuff out of there. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Very interesting.
I don't know how to go back to the thing. There we go.
You might not have noticed, but the person immediately behind you is the president of Marshalltown Trowel Company. So, I have to.
You want to play with it?
And recently it was in the top 10 of the most interesting things manufactured in Iowa is to use a tool in the restaurant.
I saw the article. I knew my dad had one. I had to ask him. So.
Very good. Well, and we'll look forward to the photos because that upstairs in Dudas is fascinating. It really is. Yeah, very good. Okay. Well, I used my discretion to let you run over, but that was too interesting to cut off. Anyone else like to speak tonight?
Yeah, I was going to tell you that went a little over 3 minutes.
Yeah, I did. About a minute and 27 seconds if I counted right.
Yeah. Hello, Jim Shaw, 522 North 2nd Street. I've been asked several times lately why. Why do I get up here at every council meeting and talk about pit bulls? Have I been attacked by one? No, I have not been attacked. I had one incident and it wasn't close. The owner got him stopped at least 15 feet from me. My fiance has had one pit killed and another one seriously injured by the same pit bull, and she had to go through the expensive rabies protocol. This is one reason why I'm here, but there are others. On Facebook, I belong to a group that's called the Pit Bull Problem. Every day, there are at least 10 to 12 new attack posts on that page. Pit bulls are attacking and mauling, sometimes killing other dogs, adults, children, and even one child's horse. These victims have done nothing wrong. They weren't teasing these dogs. They were minding their own business until the moment the attack changed their lives forever. The pit bulls' owners are not usually charged. With so many posts that are long and emotional, it's usually hard for me to pick one for the council meetings. There are pictures of mauled pets. Some owners put the picture of the dog that was a family member and it has now died because of the pit bull attack. There are other pictures of the injuries inflicted on pets, adults, and kids, some of them horrifically disfiguring. Some of the massive swollen punctures and pieces of body parts missing are not something you want to look at every day. A lady in Fort Dodge lost both her legs below the knees. The common thing about these pit bulls. There are also videos of attacks, sometimes bystanders trying to help by kicking, hitting the pit bull with boards, pipes, hammers, anything that be used to stop the attacks. Sometimes it helps, sometimes not. Occasionally, the only thing that stops them is being shot. None of these incidents just happen. The thought of your day involving a pit bull should not happen. You have every right to live your life without being afraid or plan where you're going to walk today so you don't walk where there are pit bulls. Some people will say, go the other way. No, that's not the answer. You shouldn't have to do that. How many council members would, while walking down a sidewalk in Marshalltown, and you look up and suddenly there's a leashed pit bull coming towards you on the sidewalk, pulled by its owner, because in most cases these dogs are not under control, how will you react? Will you not move aside and keep on walking? I doubt it. Will you move a couple feet to the side and try to let him go by? I kind of doubt that one too. Most of you will probably cross the street to the other side. Why? Because you're afraid or at least a little apprehensive of the pit bull. This should not happen. A lot of this time, this gets a smirk from the owner and sometimes comments about, why are you over there? He won't do anything to you, as this gentleman dominates you because you moved and he didn't. Finally, did any of you visit the Animal Rescue League after my invitation at the last meeting? You've had 2 weeks to do so. If you did, good for you. Do you want to discuss it with me? I doubt all that'll happen because I'm betting most of you didn't go. Shame on you for not trying to care about the safety of the Marshalltown citizens. If there's another pit bull attack in Marshalltown, it's your fault.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening. Deb Millizer, Director of the Marshalltown Central Business District, 34 West Main. And I wanted to bring to your attention how great the downtown is looking. If you haven't noticed, all of the berms in the downtown have been adopted by either private citizens or area businesses, and they have done a tremendously great job of making sure that the berms look very pretty and nicely kept. We even have one on the corner that a couple of young citizens, they're probably under the age of 10, that did a fairy garden, and I love that because they're engaging in our community. Our flower baskets will be going up June 4th. We are still looking for volunteers that would like to water the flower baskets. We water the flower baskets every morning from when the flower baskets go up until the beginning of October. We try to leave them up for Oktoberfest. So we are still looking for volunteers to do that. And then the third thing that we have been working on, this will be the 5th week that we have partnered with the Department of Corrections. 4 individuals from the residential facility here in town have been coming downtown. They wear one of our volunteer vests. They have a starting point normally in front of the Masonic Temple. This week they're going to start at Showroom Auto. They either spray weeds or pick up litter or pull weeds. They do that for every Wednesday from 1 to 3 o'clock. So if you see them out and about, please thank them for their time of doing it. I'm really happy about this program because not only does it help our downtown community build our pride, but these individuals are rebuilding their pride and self-efficacy and taking an initiative. They had to apply to do this. They are held accountable and they get to level up by doing this. And they're making an impact. We're getting less and less trash each time they do it. How we did it was we divided the downtown up into 4 quadrants. We created a map, and each week they're assigned a different quadrant. So tomorrow, this is Tuesday, but it feels like Monday, so it's hard to say tomorrow. But tomorrow will be their 5th week, and I, myself, or Jim Johnson, or Travis Hornberg, or one of the corrections employees, we drive around during that time period to see if they need any supplies or water or anything like that. So I think this was a great partnership to help keep on top of things in the downtown. So I just wanted to point out that the downtown is looking great, and I'm continuing to get the comments, so I hope you all are recognizing that as well.
Thank you, Deb. Anyone else?
Ray Mitchum, 1402 South 3rd Avenue, here in Marshalltown. this may seem a little surprising in a way, but yet because the TR did such a good job in showing about the B.R. Miller building and what they are questioning about how to redo that building. In my 79 years here in Marshalltown, I've had a lot of reasons to be acquainted with B.R. Miller Building. My parents graduated from there, from high school, and then I went to MCC when I graduated from LDF, and I enjoyed. At that time, it was called junior college, but yet they were turning the name into MCC. And so the north side of MCC was the college. And that's how I met my wife, because she happened to be a sophomore in high school when I was a sophomore at MCC. So when we told people we were both sophomores, they assumed that she looked old enough to be a college gal. So MCC was great back then. And then, of course, I came back years later, and I taught junior high science at B.R. Miller, at Linehan, and Anson. And so I had a lot of good experience teaching at B.R. Miller. And of course, a lot of community concerts when I was a kid. It was really a great facility back then for concerts. So a lot of us that are my generation remember a lot of different ways that B.R. Miller has been used. So I appreciate your support of the school system in knowing the best way to handle the B.R. Miller building, and I think a lot of people in town need to share some ideas, because a lot of money can be involved if enough people think that it's necessary, and it might be. But I just think it's good that the school system has spent the time and the city has supported them. So thank you.
Thank you. The mic is still open. Okay, on to item E, which is Mayor, Council, and Administrator comments. Anybody on the council wish to make any comments?
Your Honor, if I may. I'm just going to remind everyone that the 4th of July is coming up. If you'd like to make a private donation or a corporate donation, you can send it off to the Marshalltown Central Business District, 34 West Main Street here in Marshalltown. I'm also going to be collecting from the council and the mayor our customary help for the fireworks also. I'll be the collection point for that, just to remind everyone. Also this year, 13th Street is going to have on July 3rd, quite a few activities. Start paying attention. Details are starting to go out on all the activities, and we're looking to have a bigger, better time. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else up here?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I'd just like to make a few comments about the Trails Inc. Fundraising for the Iowa River's Edge Trail. We had an event last Thursday at the MAC. We had about 80 participants. It was really well received. Everybody's really excited. On Thursday, we're having a start of the summer ride on the trails for families or any trail users. JBS has donated pork. The pork producers are going to grill it, so there'll be a pork burger dinner, and then we'll have kind of like a scavenger hunt along, not really a scavenger hunt, a stamp hunt along the trail, a little card where people can stamp and then be entered to win raffle prizes. So that will go from 4:30 to 8 just on the trails. The Kiwanis Matins will also be serving free funnel cakes from 5 to 6:30, and that's when the pork burgers will be available. So if you got a family or know anybody who would like to have some fun on the trails on Thursday, have them come out. It starts anywhere on the trail. Grimes Farm is kind of the main event at the end.
If you stay after, I have some interesting news to share with you about that. Yeah. Anyone else up here? Okay, well, the two things I planned to talk about were the Miller Tour and the MAC Building presentation about the trail. Both of those were well attended. One is a significant opportunity. We can end up with a $19 million grant and have a lineal trail for 34 miles. It's just phenomenal. And Miller's got such good history and, especially the auditorium, but boy, some of those classrooms and the mold in the ceiling tiles and things like that tell us that we have to do something, whether it's stay there and fix it up, which is one of the two main options. There were three options, but whether to build someplace else is another one. It's 99 years old, and so it's time to do one thing or the other. But I was impressed by both the presentation that your crew did the one night and by the way that the superintendent of schools, and they even got kids that are going to Miller to be the tour guides, and it was a real good look at things. Reminded me of when we had the building next door here that had mold in the basement, and we needed something for the 911 folks to have a better place to work. And the fire department had the south wall that was starting to crumble. The first time there was a vote on that, people didn't get it, didn't vote for it. After enough people went to see what it looked like, this community stepped up and helped out. So those were the two things I wanted to remind you. And I've got my checkbook here, so I'll be contributing to the fireworks. It's going to be a big fireworks this year. Big deal. Okay, very good. That is all I wanted to say. And then now we go down to the years of service presentation.
Thank you, Heather Thomas, Public Works. I'd like to invite and congratulate and thank Rick Legg to join me up here. He's celebrating his 5-year anniversary, but that's slightly skewed. He joined us back in 1994 as an entry-level street maintenance worker number 3 with our team, and he worked there for a month shy of 20 years before he departed for another opportunity at the county. We were very fortunate 5 years ago to bring him back in as the superintendent role with the city. And a little bit about the street department. The street department covers a wide range of things for the city. In fact, it's a department that really serves every other department in the city. When we talk about vehicle maintenance, the 2 mechanics there, they have 9 employees that are street maintenance workers as well. And they serve anything from parking lots for our facilities to building facilities, moving furniture when there's moves, in addition to streets. In addition to that, they do compost facility and all the levy as well. So institutional knowledge is huge when you're working with infrastructure like that. So this last week reminded us of the importance of that and the really big value that Rick brings to his job. We had an event that was the 9th highest crest on the Iowa River last week. And when you look at the 8 events higher than that, he was here for 4 of them, including the top 3. So I relied on him so much last week and greatly appreciate the leadership that he brings to this role. When I think of the things that Rick brings to this role, probably the one that I want to highlight is his ability to build a team and build a team that gels well with everybody else in that team. When we have snow and ice events, his employees find a way to get here, whether they're staying in town because they're on call 24/7, 365. He does a really good job of building a team that cares about this community. So again, thank you, Rick, so much, and congratulations on 5, quote, almost 25 years of employment with the city.
All right. Oh, got to get a photo here. And while we're doing the photo, as mayor, I do get some comments from citizens sometimes about the different staff people and what they're doing around town. And they're not always positive. I've never heard a bad word about what you've done here. And so I just wanted to go public on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good. Those are fun. When I saw 5 years, Rick Legg, no, wait, you've been a big deal around here forever. Now I understand why it just said 5. Okay. On to the consent agenda. Anybody want to move to approve that tonight?
Move to approve, Your Honor.
Is there a second?
Second, Your Honor.
Roll call.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Kell,
Yes.
Bodyhoff,
Yes.
That carried. Aren't you glad you don't have to read all 14 anymore,
I am.
Shirley? All right, on to motions. One of those tonight. What's that?
Motion to approve a new Class C retail alcohol license for Mariscos El Capitan 2 at 903 West Lincoln Way with the catering and outdoor service privileges.
Move for approval, Your Honor.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, Your Honor, this restaurant is under new ownership, and they're opening a new restaurant. I believe they have a soft opening coming up in June. The Iowa Department of Inspections Appeals Licensing has approved their state food license, and this is now for the approval of their alcohol license to include catering and outdoor service on their patio.
Good. Any discussion? Roll call. Oh, I'm sorry. Sure, yeah.
So, hi everyone. My name is Roger. I'm here to represent the new Mariscos El Capitan. So first of all, thank you for your time. We're excited to be part of the community. I've been here in Marshalltown all my life, well, for most of my life, and I'm excited to be part of the restaurant community here in Marshalltown. Our soft opening is next June, or the 4th of June. And then we will have the ribbon cutting with the chamber on June 14th. So everyone's invited to come over and join us. So thank you so much for this opportunity. Hope to see you guys there.
Very good.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, guys.
Your Honor, if I may,
You may.
Roger. Will you state your full name and your address, please?
of course.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Sorry.
So full name is Rogelio Ibarra, 903 West Lincoln Way, here in Marshalltown.
I got a quick question, Roger.
Yeah.
Are you a seafood restaurant? Is that kind of your angle?
So our main thing is Mexican-style seafood, but we do have a lot of the traditional dishes. So like you'll see tacos, burritos, fajitas, everything you can think of on the menu. So
I wasn't hungry until you got this.
yeah, there's something on the menu for everyone, for sure. So,
And
and
you're-
margaritas, of course.
And Your Honor, next time we do something like this, shouldn't we obligate the owners to bring samples?
Exactly, yeah. Well, I was wondering where the PowerPoint was, you know.
So I'll hope to see you guys hopefully there.
You'll see us there.
Okay, all right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Congratulations on the new store. Okay, on to, let's see, we did the roll call.
Roll call, yeah. Lottie Hoff,
Yes.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Kell.
Yes.
Very good, that carried. And I almost get a little thing in my throat because I'm used to hearing a no at the end. L hoop, so. That was unanimous. Okay, on to the resolutions.
Resolution 2024-113 in support of the Workforce Housing Tax Credits application to be submitted to the Iowa Economic Development Authority for a housing development project by Tailwind Capital Partners.
Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Second?
Second.
And discussion?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. John Hall with the Marshalltown Area Chamber of Commerce, 34 West Main Street. Happy to be in front of you tonight with this Workforce Housing Tax Credits application resolution, similar to the one that you all approved earlier this year for Creekside Estates. This project is developers out of Des Moines that are looking at doing 2 30-plex units, so a total of 60 units in full market rate rental, really aiming at a younger professional demographic. The model that they are proposing are going to be all 2-bed, 2-bath units with kind of hardwood laminate flooring, granite countertops, and all pet friendly. And so this is bringing another product that we really don't have. We've got some variety in kind of this space. We've seen, the Crosby Park development and now the Creekside Estates, which has more that townhome feel. We've got some upper story apartments in downtown, but in the true multifamily development, we've not seen a lot recently that hasn't been in the low income or taken advantage of low income housing tax credits. This is going to be a true market rate multifamily development. Again, one of the products that we're missing is pet friendly in that space. That's something we hear a lot about from some of our employers when they've got new folks coming to the community. And so we're excited for what this product might be able to bring us. I do know that the developers have connected with the Village Cooperative folks next door already and had some preliminary conversations. So they are actively engaging in making sure that what they bring is appropriate for that neighborhood. Be happy to answer if there's any questions.
Questions or comments?
Your Honor, if I
over?
may?
You may.
John, could you, for the public, clarify exactly where these will be located? You mentioned the Village
Yeah,
Co-op. Could you let people
apologies.
know so they can kind of get some understanding of the location?
Yeah, so this is going to be a continuation of West Merle Hibbs. So the Edgewood subdivision, nope, not Edgewood, the, pardon? Glenwood, there it is. The Glenwood 7th edition is the most recent development just adjacent to this. This will be a further continuation of Merle Hibbs to the west, and working through it, hope to be able to connect Merle Hibbs all the way out to 12th.
Very good. Any other questions or comments by the council or by the public? Roll call.
Kell,
Yes.
Lottie Huff,
Yes.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Very good. That carried. That's pretty exciting. Market rate, that kind of housing. Perfect. Thank you. All right, our next resolution.
Resolution 2024-114 to pledge $250,000 of council-designated lost fund previously designated for the Iowa River's Edge Trail development and improvements to the Federal Active Transportation Infrastructure Investment Program.
Move for approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion on this one.
Your Honor, if I may,
You may.
if I recall on the 13th, this is our last city council meeting, we approved monies for administration. So my question is, where are we going to get this $250,000? Where are we going to pull that from? And if we pull it from somebody else, where are we going to get that money to replace it?
You may.
This is $250,000.
There we go.
This is $250,000 that the council has already designated from local option sales tax for the trail improvements and/or construction. And so, because it had not been designated yet, this is an opportunity that we could use it as a leverage point for the other partners that will be participating, including other grants and donations and so forth, so that we can get the match that's required for the $19 million grant. And yes, the city will be the lead applicant on this, but there's no other funds that were designated at the meeting on May 13th.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments by the council about this one?
Yeah, I would just encourage everybody to vote yes. This is a really good investment. This trail will be a great catalyst for Marshalltown. It will make other things happen that won't happen otherwise. So I think this is rather modest investment to get that kind of asset in our town. So I'd encourage you to vote yes.
This would be part of the local match that's required to get the federal grant.
Correct. Yeah, it has to be a non-federal match, and that would go toward this portion.
Your Honor,
Yes.
as I was going through the agenda, I was thinking back to the past 6 weeks. I've been to Iowa City, Des Moines twice, Bentonville, Arkansas, and Council Bluffs, all on bike trails riding. So all those trips included gas, food, restaurants, hotels. I just think it's a big opportunity for our community, and people do travel to ride the trails. So I would also encourage support of this.
Thank you. Any other council comments? Public comment?
Dylan Does, 302 North 4th Street here in Marshalltown. Just a quick economic piece in talking with Winneshiek County after they did their big trail enhancement. Their economic impact through tourism went from $28 million to within about 3 years, $60 million of economic impact, and the number one driver of that was trails, which with the supplemental businesses and the things like that, those are the type of numbers that trails bring. And I know being at the Iowa Trail Summit this year, hosting it, very excited trails community for what the Iowa River's Edge Trail can be.
That's the trout trail up there in the car, yeah.
Yep.
If you go up there, you either have an e-bike or be in pretty good shape, because man, they've got some hills to climb.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, thank you. Anybody else from the audience? Public? Okay, let's call the roll.
Nichols?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Kell?
Yes.
Lottie Hoff?
Yes.
Mitchell?
Yes.
Very good, that carried on to the next one.
Resolution 2024-115, approving Amendment 2 to the agreement for professional services with Stanley Consultants for the South Center Street Railroad Bridge Improvements Project in the city of Marshalltown, Iowa.
I so move.
Second.
Discussion.
Good evening, Heather Thomas, Public Works Director. This is the second amendment with Stanley Consultants for the Center Street Viaduct. After the council went for and applied for and received the $1.5 million grant of city bridge funding, there are additional federal requirements that the city must comply with. This also switches the letting from a local letting to a DOT letting. So with this amendment provides for those changes to the plans and that bid process. We are also doing what's called an AGC constructability review. This project is a little bit unique. It is not a standard thing to cut out a portion of a bridge and replace expansion joints that happen every day. So we reached out to AGC. They've reached out to their contractors that would potentially be interested in bidding this project, and we will be having a meeting in June where we're bringing contractors in kind of as a pre-bid so they can view the site, offer suggestions. Generally, we found that this is very, very successful in getting better bids on the project, and we think that's well worth the $5,000 investment to do at this time. So with this, I ask for your approval. As far as timeline goes, the DOT process does extend that timeline. It's a little longer than we had hoped, but they have a 12-month review process. So we're going to try to speed that up if possible, but the UP being in there as a railroad is always another hiccup as well. And I'll open it up for any questions.
Any up here?
Your Honor, kind of related to this, I know one of the problems last time was the steel mills were at capacity, so everything was really expensive. Are you hearing anything through the grapevine? Is that capacity increasing? I've read some other articles that, there's some softening in the economy, so I didn't know if there'd been any updates on the roller bearing front.
Yeah, so right now what we're expecting, we kind of got a shock about a year and a half ago at the city because of the costs when we did go try to early procure those materials. What we found is that this project is big enough that the small ones don't want to touch it, but small enough that the big ones don't want to touch it. So we kind of found ourselves in like this middle ground. We do think we're still probably in that middle ground, and we know that there's a good chance that the lead time on this material is probably 6 to 12 months once it is ordered.
So is any of these engineering firms looking at other options for that expansion joint other than the roller bearing, or is there no other options?
We're replacing it to get away from the roller bearing, but it is still a steel component.
That description reminded me of something my spouse once said about me. I was too light for heavy work, too heavy for light work. But if we have this kind of a thing, we may attract the right people.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Your Honor, if I may. So Heather, in the packet, it says that if I read it right, your prediction for just going out for bid is June of 2025.
If we follow the full DOT process, we did have a pre-meeting with them about a month ago. And if we followed their full process, it's 12 months. There's a slight chance that we can get through a couple of those reviews quicker than their normal process that would bring that up. But right now, that would be the anticipated letting.
So if we go out for bid in June of 25 and we have a lead time of another year, so we are looking at starting construction realistically in 2027?
26, because you can order the material and still get working on the other parts and get the removal done. There is a slight chance, if everything aligns, that we could be looking at construction in late 25, but 26 is probably a little bit more realistic at this point.
And when we start, is it completely shut down, or will traffic still be allowed on the viaduct?
It will be completely shut down.
And how long will that process be?
The DOT is the one who will actually set the construction working days for this project, but it would be realistic that it's going to be a, 5 to 6 month shutdown.
Thank you, Mayor Stegman, for your foresight to have more than one viaduct in this town. Man. Any other public comments? Let's call the roll.
Lottie Hoff,
Yes.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Kell.
Yes.
Very good. On to our next item.
Public hearing and resolution 2024-116 approving the status of funding update of an Iowa Economic Development Authority Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Housing Project for the construction of a 30-unit apartment building.
Declare the public hearing is open at 6:10 PM. Did you receive any written comments at the clerk's office?
No, Your Honor.
It is time for public comments. Always seems odd to me, the order that we do this, but it is by code. Time for staff review then.
Yes, Your Honor. The council had approved a resolution of support on this project back in November of 2022. This is being built at 1807 South 7th Avenue, and I have some funding updates to read through here for Region 6. The general description of accomplishments to date, the site development including excavation, utilities, rough-in, parking lot, and foundation, rough framing, roofing, insulation, windows, siding, exterior painting, electrical rough-in of each unit, plumbing rough-in of each unit, and some drywall installation has been completed to date. A summary of the expenditures to date. $3,351,699.05 has been expended for this project. $1,360,789 will be reimbursed through this grant, and $1,990,910.05 will be covered with local funding sources. A general description of the remaining work, there's $2,265,300.95 of the total project construction budget that remains. The remaining work yet to be completed consists of finishing the drywall in all units, interior painting, interior doors, cabinets, final plumbing, final HVAC, flooring, and finish work, and site cleanup.
Thank you. Time for council comments on this one. Hearing none, I'll declare the public hearing is closed at 6:12 PM. Don't require an action item on this one, or do we?
Move for,
Yes.
move for approval, Your Honor.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Kell,
Yes.
Lottie Hoff.
Yes.
That carried, and if you drive by there, it really looks nice from the outside now. It's really starting to take shape. So another 30 units of housing that will help us attract workers to live here. Next one.
Public hearing and resolution 2024-117 approving the fiscal year 25 consolidated transit funding application for the Marshalltown Municipal Transit Program.
Public hearing's open at 6:13 PM. I'll assume you didn't receive any written comments?
No, Your Honor.
Time for public comments. I doubt anybody's going to jump up on that one, but now time for staff review.
Good evening, Kevin Pigores, Transit Administrator. So each year, we apply for funding from the Iowa DOT to receive both state and federal dollars to cover the day-to-day operating costs. This year's application, we're anticipating $295,000 from the state and $402,000 from federal. In addition, we are applying for a project to replace one bus. That project is $658,000. 85% of that cost is federal, and that is $560,000.
Thank you. Time for council comments after the staff review. I will declare the public hearing closed at 6:14, and do we need approval on this one too?
Yes.
Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve, Your Honor.
Second.
Roll call on this one.
Kell,
Yes.
Lottie Hoff,
Yes.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
carried. Before going on to the next one, I have to tell you, if anybody up here hasn't done a ride on the bus, I haven't for years, but I did this last year. It's very eye-opening. You find out just what kind of a clientele absolutely needs it to get to work, get to school. It's pivotal that we have that. Somebody posted something yesterday on social media saying, oh, how come we have these buses? Well, I would love to have that person spend an hour or two riding the routes like I did. It's really eye-opening. Thank you for the good job you're doing, Kevin. All right, next one, public hearing number 7.
Public hearing and resolution 2024-118, approving an amendment to the 28E agreement between the City of Marshalltown and the Marshall County Communications Commission for the lease of space at 909 South 2nd Street, Marshalltown.
Very good. Declare public hearings open to 6:15. You didn't receive any written comments?
No, Your Honor.
Any public comments on this one? Nobody's jumping up. Let's go staff review.
I can take this one. This is the renewal of the lease for the 911 Commission to be within the police area of the new facility, and there has been some changes. There's going to be a larger cost sharing on it and so forth, and this was presented to you at the last council meeting as well. But we needed to have a public hearing. The commission will then review it again, and then we anticipate acceptance at that point.
Thank you. Any council comments?
Your Honor, if I may.
You may.
I just want to say for the record, once again, I continue to be disappointed, frustrated that either party couldn't figure out how to protect each of themselves by rewiring this so the actual cost is paid for. Because one of us is going to make out like a bandit and the other one's going to lose money. So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you. Any other council comments? Okay, I'll declare this public hearing is closed at 6:16 p.m. This requires a motion as well.
Move to approve, Your Honor.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Roll call?
Nichols?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
No.
Kell?
Yes.
Lottie
Yes.
Mitchell?
Yes.
Okay, that carried. And just so the public knows, that commission that meets monthly is comprised of all of the mayors of all of the cities in Marshall County, so they'll be the ones that will be voting on it from that end of things. All right, next one.
Public hearing and resolution 2024-119, approving the HUD Section 8 Rent Assistance Program Administrative Plan and Public Housing Authority 5-year plan.
Public hearing is open at 6:17 p.m. You didn't receive any written comments? on
No,
that
Your
one?
Honor.
Time for public comments. Pretty rare for those on these things. Staff review.
This is the Section 8 or HUD review of their annual administrative report, and included in that is the 5-year plan for the improvements and changes that need to be made. Most of the changes were the same recommendations that came from the feds. For example, if we need to, the ability to have remote training sessions for some of the people, as we would have done through the pandemic anyway, but those are now solidified within this plan.
We do those training sessions up here.
We found that having them at the library is more conducive. Having them at the library is more conducive simply because of the access for the general population.
I guess I just happened to stumble into this room one time when there was one of those going on here. Okay. Any other staff comments? Let's see, council comments next. And if none, I'll declare the public hearing is closed at 6:18 p.m. We do need approval of this one as
Move to
well.
approve, Your Honor.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Lottie
Yes.
Mitchell?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Kell?
Yes.
That carried. We have 3 more public hearings. We forgot to vote on how long our meeting was going to go tonight, didn't we? What is this one?
Public hearing and resolution 2024-120, providing for the conveyance and transfer of title for 510 East Main Street from the city of Marshalltown, Iowa to RMB Cooperative.
This public hearing is open at 6:19 PM. Any written comments?
No, Your Honor.
Time for public comments? None? Staff review time?
Yes, there was a sealed bid acceptance opened on May 7th at 10 a.m. There were 3 bids on this lot, and the high bid was $1,500.
Time for council comments. Hearing none, I'll declare the public hearing is closed at 6:20 PM.
Your Honor, I'd like to motion to table the resolution.
Is there a second to that motion?
I will second.
Let's do the roll call. It's non-debatable.
Lottie Hoff,
Yes.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Kell.
Yes.
Very good. That is tabled. On to the next one.
Public hearing and resolution 2024-121, providing for the conveyance and transfer of title for 406 Lee Street from the city of Marshalltown, Iowa to RMB Cooperative.
Okay, I'll declare this public hearing is open at 6:20 PM. Did you receive any written comments on this one?
No, Your Honor.
Time for public comments. Seeing none, time for staff review.
There was also 3 bids on this lot, with the high bid being $1,500.
Council comments? Declare the public hearing closed at 6:21 PM. Is there a motion?
Motion to table, Your Honor.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Kell,
Yes.
Lottie Hoff.
Yes.
That's tabled. On to the next and last one.
Public hearing and resolution 2024-122, providing for the conveyance and transfer of title for 708 Lee Street from the city of Marshalltown, Iowa to RMB Cooperative.
Public hearing is open at 6:21 PM. The clerk did not receive any written comments. Nobody's going to comment publicly. Staff review would be similar to the reports of the last one, but what's the amount on this bid?
There were 4 bids on this lot, with the high bid being $1,500.
Council comments? Don't expect any. Public hearing is closed at 6:21 PM. Is there a motion?
Motion to table, Your Honor.
Second.
Roll call.
Nichols,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Kell,
Yes.
Lottie Hoff,
Yes.
Mitchell.
Yes.
Gary, damn, I wish I'd timed that one. I think that set a record. Ordinances, just one tonight.
Ordinance 15085 to amend the Code of Ordinances, City of Marshalltown, Iowa, Chapter 156, zoning, first reading.
Move for
Motion.
approval, Your Honor.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Who wants to address this one for comment?
Take it. The Planning and Zoning Commission has been working on the ordinances as they refer to in-ground solar panels installation, and at the last meeting, they asked the council for a moratorium on such permitting until they would have the opportunity to bring an ordinance amendment to you, and this is said amendment. And it will continue the moratorium on all parcels, but in the residential area, this will solidify the code saying that no in-ground in the residential area or on a residential parcel.
Time for discussion on it. Let's start with council discussion first.
Your Honor, if I may.
You may.
I want to thank the Planning and Zoning Commission for their hard work. I was able to attend one of the meetings. But at the same time, I want to thank them. I want to ask city staff is, we did that big rewrite. We were asked to rush it through. Back when Michelle Sponheimer was here, we knew that there were going to be some problems in that rewrite. And it was, that we didn't want to take time to go through everything. So this is one of those things that came up after the fact. After somebody gets approval, then all of a sudden we're chasing our tails to try and solve a problem. So I'm asking staff, do we have a plan in place so we have a plan to start going through that rewrite to find all these other loopholes or ifs and ands and buts type thing Or are we going to have a lot of these where someone gets one, and if they're the first one to the water trough, they get it, and then we change the rules after the fact? So that would be my ask of someone to look into that. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Other council comments or questions?
May I address the councils?
May.
We are not asking for the moratorium to be lifted on other in-ground installations for solar. We do know that there is a pent-up need, especially with some of our businesses and so forth, but the Planning and Zoning Commission is going to continue their diligence on going through that particular review. In addition to that, we are currently going under legal review for Chapter 157 for city infrastructure. And then I also know that the Planning and Zoning Commission is still working on the parking ordinance, as well as 156, which is the newer construction on things to make sure that there are no conflicts between those two again. Additionally, staff has a list of conflicts or concerns that have been introduced to the Planning and Zoning Commission, and we would expect within the next couple of months that a lot of that will also come to the council. The P&Z felt that this was urgent because of the popularity of such things, and so we needed to have some clarification in the code so that staff would be able to say yes or no, you can or cannot build. This does not change any of the setback requirements that are also required of various permits within the city, but all of those things are being discussed with the Planning and Zoning Commission. We have had some problems with quorums to get enough people there and their comments together, and I think that that will be easier to do in the future because they understand the importance of getting this cleaned up right away.
It reminds me of the first time we saw a rooftop windmill. We hadn't seen one of those in town before, and so I think P&Z had to address that one when it happened. That was about 13, 14 years ago. Any other council?
If I may? Yeah, on the way to city council tonight, I drove by a solar field here in Marshalltown, and they have yet to start putting buffered zone around it, and I was wondering where they sit on that.
If I may, we're going to have to continue to progress or to force those things to either happen, or we have an open question to legal staff as to what remedy we would have should that not be in compliance in the future. Like, take it down. So again, we need that legal opinion before we can go forth with that kind of a directive.
Thank you.
Further council comments or questions?
Your Honor, if I may.
You may.
In defense of the Planning and Zoning Commission, you know, I've done an awful lot of things that look really good on paper. And I think no matter what you try and write, and I don't care how careful you are and thoughtful you are and diligent you are, there's going to be something that pops up that you never could have imagined. So I would like to thank the Planning and Zoning Commission for basically stopping and addressing this quickly. I do expect more things to pop up as we go along because on paper it looks great, but in practice sometimes it just didn't work out, and we've all been there.
Your Honor, I just kind of like to echo what Mike said, but I mean, I read the entire document as we were passing it 2 years ago or whenever that was. I did it over the course of a couple days. I mean, it's a heavy read, and there's no way you can anticipate everything there. So, I mean, I personally missed this one. I think this is the right decision to prohibit these.
Anybody else? I'd like to echo the thanks to the Planning and Zoning. I did say at the last council meeting how pleased I am that the chair has continued to serve on that. I mean, that his institutional knowledge is just pivotal for this, and he's been so conscientious about all these things for decades. And if you look at the other people that are on that Planning and Zoning Commission, we really have some talented people that are donating their time to do it. Appreciate what the staff does in trying to rewrite the code. This code is not easy to read. I mean, it's almost like getting the Iowa code out. That's up to 5 volumes now, maybe 6 volumes. Holy cow. They just keep growing. Probably, unless anybody else up here likes to speak, we could ask the public for comment on these in-ground solar panels as well.
Hi, Catherine Raveling, 107 North 6th Street. I live right by one of the ones in the residential. My question is on this is who's going to enforce, what the code was or is? Because the one by 6th Street was not put up legally. The permit wasn't issued until the day that we were here at the meeting for the planning and zoning. I don't feel like this was a planning and zoning error. I think it was an internal error. I guess I'm wondering why we have to suffer because of the internal error. The permit should have never been given, and the way that it sits is also incorrect. And the one on 7th Street shouldn't be because of, I think there's supposed to be so much green space, and the whole backyard is filled with it. So my question is, who's going to enforce it? If there's an internal problem, why are we going to have to suffer in the residential zones of the ones that are already up?
Just question. Robert Meharry, 1204 South 12th Street. And I previously corresponded with Mr. Boston, and he said that there was a possibility that they would also be banned on commercial parcels because of the proximity to residential. And I was just wondering if that was still happening or if it was strictly residential now. Thank you.
The moratorium stays at this point. The council will have to have an ordinance, will be passing the ordinance with the three, I'm assuming with the 3 readings that are traditional for an ordinance, but the overall moratorium does stay at this time. I do believe, and I didn't see you sitting there, John, but if I don't put the right words in your mouth, let me know. But
I didn't see John either. John Hall's in, sorry. I would have named you and pointed you out when I was saying nice things about you.
And the planning and zoning did mention that at their last meeting, and that was going to be another thing that they're going to address, because they are also required to compare the planning and zoning ordinances with the city's comp plan, and we want to make sure that there's compatibility between those 2 documents.
John Boston, Planning and Zoning Commission. The only areas in the city with the code that you're seeing in front of you is industrial and agricultural that will be allowed on the ground. We found that in reviewing it, that there was so much territory in the city that's intertwined residential and commercial, that if you start putting ground solar in commercial areas, almost everywhere it's going to be within sight of a residential property. And then the one thing that we haven't covered, and we'll be looking into, is for commercial areas, is what they call canopy solar over parking lots. And I think our existing language for rooftop solar, which is permitted everywhere, would fit into that language as it exists, but we'll be double checking that also. So, any other questions?
Your Honor, I have a question for Mr. Boston.
Go for it.
John, it's my understanding that your term is for life as the head of planning and zoning. Did I read that correctly?
No, I just keep getting reelected as chairman for some reason, so. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Other public comment?
I'm sorry, Sorry, Catherine Raveling. I just forgot one issue also. The one on 6th Street has a glare to it that goes straight into one of our neighbors. And so that, again, was on the code. And so it shouldn't happen either.
I saw that in the memo today, that there is apparently anti-glare stuff that could be put on these. I hadn't known that.
Your Honor, I just think to answer her question, I mean, like Cindy said, the city is looking into remedies for what's going on, but we need legal opinions before anything can be done.
Exactly. I say that myself. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you for P and Z and going forward with it to come back with us, and we can edit our ordinance, which does need to have some work done to it. Let's go on to.
We need roll call.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Schneider,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Kell,
Yes.
Waddyhoff,
Yes.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Nichols.
Yes.
Sorry about, thank you. I slipped ahead to discussion items.
And Your Honor, point of clarification, if I may?
You may.
Since the moratorium is still in effect for residential, for everything, until these three readings pass, there's no reason to waive the second and third reading, because the moratorium is keeping anybody from building in residential currently, correct? Thank you.
Okay, now for discussion. First one is the Marshland Area Chamber of Commerce Agreement for Tourism and Promotional Services.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. John Hall, Marshalltown Area Chamber of Commerce, 34 West Main Street. Happy to be in front of you this evening for our tourism hotel motel contract renewal. For those that have been on council for a little bit of time, I was here in front of you 2 years ago when we were up for renewal at that time, and I must apologize because I really did not have a great concept of really even the tourism industry at that time, and my background being economic development and chamber work, had never really worked in kind of the Convention Visitors Bureau world, the tourism world, and I will say today that proudly we have far more sophisticated tools, resources, and connections to our tourism industry than we have for a long time, and so very proud of where we're at. What I've provided to you that's in the council packet tonight is a proposed renewal on our contract for a 5-year term. So this aligns closer with our economic development contract and looks at that kind of length of term. There are a couple of pieces in it. One, there's some cleaned up language in terms of reporting and expectations that basically we try to coincide both the economic development report, which I think you all received, kind of that first quarterly report from me for our economic development contract reporting, trying to sync this up so that our tourism contract reporting comes in much that same format at the same time, and as well as again an annual in-person kind of report on where things are at. And the second major thing is putting together a table for trying to increase that percentage over time. So when hotel motel tax was originally passed in the community, the intention was 90% of the hotel motel tax would go towards CVB activities, or Convention Visitors Bureau activities, tourism activities. Over time, that number has shifted, and that is up to the discretion of the city council. State code allows for up to 50% to go towards general fund operations, and so that number has shifted over time. We believe, and I think in some of the information that I will have Dylan Does present here in just a minute, we believe strongly that the dollars invested into our efforts with tourism have remarkable impact on return on investment. And while we understand where the city's at from a budget perspective, our intention is to make sure that the city's budget continues to remain whole as we try to climb that percentage back through performance metrics that drive us to perform better in order to see the return on the investment on those dollars. We know that for every lodging dollar spent in our community, there's a 4.2x return in other expenses happening throughout our community, whether that's fuel, whether that's food, whether that's entertainment. And so we know the impact on seeing additional hotel motel tax dollars has a broader impact and ultimately has an impact on your budget in another area through local option sales tax. I do know that in your budget for next fiscal year, you had put forth the same percentage at that 56%, which is why we have intended to keep that consistent with year one. Again, looking for performance metrics to drive that up. And what you'll see in some of the data tools that we're about to present is we know our hotel motel tax every single week. We get a report every single week. We know exactly how many hotel nights were booked. We know the exact amount of revenue collected by our hoteliers, and we know the exact amount of taxes that are being collected by the community. And so we are able to track that very, very carefully, and so we will know exactly how we are performing as we would look to move through this contract. So before I drone on for too much longer, I am going to welcome Dylan Does, who's our tourism director, to provide kind of an overview of some of the work that he's been able to do over this last year, as well as some of the big work that he's got coming. Before I allow him to take the microphone, you guys are all getting a sneak peek on this because officially the award comes on June 11th, but he just has been awarded the Rising Star Award by the Iowa Travel and Industry Partners. It is a peer group of Tourism and Convention Visitor Bureau professionals from throughout the state of Iowa that have selected Dylan as their Rising Star, and he will receive that award on June 11th.
Dylan Does, Tourism Director, Marshalltown Area Chamber of Commerce at 34 West Main Street. And I will say the best part about winning the Rising Star Award is that at age 42, I'm still determined as a rising star. I'm just happy to rise up here today. But it is my great opportunity over the last 14 months, new to the field of tourism, but really has been one of the most fulfilling professional years of my life, being able to serve the community in which I was born and chose to move back from Central Washington to raise my family. And we couldn't be happier that every morning we had to come up and link arms with all of you and to tell the Marshalltown story. Quick story, I have a 16-year-old. If anybody's ever had teenage boys, you know that they often are quiet and they don't talk back. They don't ever question anything you do, or they're the exact opposite of that. Well, my 16-year-old Ian, one day we were driving, he goes, "Dad, why does Marshalltown even have a tourism director?" And I go, "Well, first off, son, it's paying for your college, but two, it really is, tourism is a lot more than Disney and destination weddings. It is real dollars, it is a real economic driver, and I want to start with the dollars, right? Yeah, it can have all the stories you want, but let's kick it off with the dollars. And when we look at this is information given to us by the Iowa Economic Development Authority, and just to give you a sense of what tourism is, as Governor Reynolds reclassified and really unified a lot of those areas, we are, as a tourism body, under the Iowa Economic Development Authority. That is our governing body. That's who we are a part of. So according to the company is Symphony, it's Oxford Economics, our tourism wing. This is state data that for Marshall County, $57 million of total direct economic impact resulted from travelers from 50 miles or further away. $12.5 million of that being in the food and beverage, along with 10.8 coming from lodging, where hotel motel tax paying lodging was just south of 9 million of that, 8.8 in retail, 8.6 in activities, over $16 million in transportation, and I anticipate a lot of that growing, and I really think that transportation number is one that we can jump on and really grow, especially as 30 becomes 4-lane across. That's a really big number for us, and that's an indicator of future success. I'm a big proponent. I love innovation. It's why I love this community. I also hate guessing. I want to know, if we're going to innovate, I want to know why we're going and where we're going at. So we utilize a lot of tools to really dig into the dollars and to understand what we are doing. John referenced one earlier, but we dig into the dollars with 4 different reports that we're a part of. STR report in the biz, if you want to feel like a tourism insider, we call it the STAR report. But it is a weekly tracking report of our 11 hotel motels and 577 rooms in the city of Marshalltown that pay for our hotel motel tax. It gives us a hotel supply and demand, occupancy rates, average daily rates. It's hotels are the purest economic thing in the world. Supply and demand drives costs daily. It goes up and down. And then ultimately, gross revenue. Being a part of a state co-op, we are also a part of Arrivalist. Arrivalist tracks people by their cell phone, but it gives us the origin of the traveler, length of stay, and it's county and city specific, and it also allows us to compare ourselves to other counties. Biggest thing, they have to be from more than 50 miles away, and they have to be here for at least 2 hours. ITIP is Iowa Travel Industry Partners, which I am a part of, and John referenced earlier, but it creates and has on board, they created through Iowa State and other cities an event economic impact calculator, and we'll give an example of that, but we can actually see the dollars of the events that we bring in. Different events bring in different dollars. And then the state of Iowa, of course, annual economic data that you've seen, peer-to-peer resourcing. There's just a lot going on there. But here's a couple we're going to pull up. To the left is the STAR report. I picked April 14th through April 20th of this year. Why did I pick those? Well, the Marshalltown Community School District did a PLC summit talking about how to teach kids the best practices for English as second language learners. They brought in the conference, all faculty and staff went through it, but also people from 13 different states were here. It was almost 700 people. We got to play the role of concierge desk, which I love telling people about Marshalltown. And then at the end of the week, there was a dance competition at the Roundhouse. Fun fact, dance is probably the #1 economic driver for youth sports. It's a huge driver. So in that week, what you're looking at on the top is occupancy rate. The top line is this year versus last year. So with the PLC conference, that Monday and Tuesday, one day they were a 74% change tick up. The next day was 18% tick up. And then when you look at the dance, 34% tick up, and then about 11%. That's a huge number because it calculates into hotel stays. Those two conferences jumped our hotels by almost 300 stays that week and put us at almost, doing quick math, $53,000 of more of gross revenue out of that just by those two things. We know that, and we know what's important because every Wednesday, tomorrow morning, maybe Thursday due to the holiday, John and I will get that in our inbox, and it'll go in my Excel spreadsheet that I track year over year. To the right, you have Arrivalist data. Arrivalist does a lot of different things, but I wanted to point out the trip share by origin. That's a really big deal when we look to market. As you can see, and it makes perfect sense, from the Des Moines, Ames areas where we get most of our visitors. But again, it's 50 miles or more, so it's not counting Ames specific. It's more on that Boone side, and it's not Bondurant. It's that Des Moines side over there. And then you're seeing Cedar Rapids area, Davenport, Omaha, Chicago, Twin Cities. That data helps us understand where should we spend our marketing dollars. Where do we need to connect with the state because they're looking to bring tourists from outside of the state to really leverage those things. So that's a couple ways that we dig into that. Event economic impact. I thought, let's go with the Iowa High School Esports Association Fall Showdown. The first one we had, November 15th through 17th. Well, utilizing that calculator, which points to average restaurant spent, we have the data for hotels, so we're able to pump that in. Coming out those 3 days with the over 500 participants, about 1,000 spectators, we were able to see that produced about an $85,000 economic impact, with $78,000 to $80,000 of that being from people outside of the community. The next thing I wanted to add, another piece, is you see state data there as well. This is the percentage of sales tax paid by non-residents. Marshall County is tied with Johnson County as the third highest of getting out of out-of-county residents to pay sales tax here. The other two counties we lose to, Madison County, because our 3 bridges aren't covered. That was the real issue. And then, thank you for laughing. I appreciate that. And the other is Iowa County, which is the home of the Amana colonies. So we have a lot of economic impact through people that are coming here, and we have a lot of opportunity to grow that. But these are the dollars. Really what tourism comes down is storytelling, hospitality, and showing what makes you unique. I tell you, tourism in the state of Iowa is not about copycats. It's not about being the best out of the box store. It's about being uniquely you and celebrating the things that only you can do. And Marshalltown has a rich story, not just in the past, but we are still telling that story today. So out of that, we've come up with an identity piece. We've said it as far as Meet in Marshalltown is the tourism identity we go with, along with the Spanish-speaking side of Nos Venos in Marshalltown, because really we see the economic impact of tourism. Really, we're seeing a lot of dollars brought into our community through both English-speaking and Spanish-speaking events, and that's a great opportunity for economic growth. But part of that is as we roll out the new things, I do want to spend just a quick 30 seconds to show you just the raw data of a web commercial that we just had to do. And this was paid for through a tourism grant through the state of Iowa. So that's kind of the ways that we can leverage some of those things. But here it is, and we'll see if we can get that to play here. My fault. Nope, not going to work. So I will send that to you later, but it really is highlighting all the things. We'll try that. John's there for me. There we go. As you won't get the audio of it, but you will get the images of just kind of how we're promoting, again with that unique QR code that sends you to the website, which has restaurants, places to stay, economic data for people looking to move, but it really is just highlighting the awesome things that we have. There's a Spanish version as well with that, but that's just a piece of what we have going on, wanting to show and tell our story. Now, our contract that we're reporting on here today is really what the city asked us to do, is show our events, make sure you're doing the electronic board. We're doing those things. I think we're overperforming. We have it on multiple websites, multiple social channels, but it's also about marketing materials. How are you helping conferences? How are you helping festivals that draw people but also just make us happy we live here? And we have some of those things, and we want to share with you how we've been doing that. So promoting Marshalltown, the marketing this is my favorite thing. It really is I don't want to ever sell used cars because I don't have a passion for it, but I do have a passion for this place. And it has been a real great honor because I kind of am 1 foot in the community, 1 foot out. I wear Marshalltown across my chest wherever I go, but I get to be in some fun opportunities and some fun places. So over this last year, we've been featured on Channel 5, Channel 13, numerous newspapers, radio to promote Marshalltown, and you see Channel 13 there with an interview with us in the offices. The Iowa State Fair is one coming up. We've got a really unique opportunity. I will be down at the State Fair booth, at the Iowa State Tourism booth, promoting Marshalltown, but we also have this wonderful opportunity with some of our Latino-owned businesses and things to co-sponsor the Latino Heritage Night, where we get a lot of bang for our buck. I don't know if you know this, to play with the big dogs on the top grandstand, English-speaking music acts, that's well beyond my budget. If you guys gave me 100% of hotel motel tax, it's beyond the budget. But in these other places where in our Spanish-speaking audience, we can invest a few dollars and get a lot more for it, and we want to highlight that really importantly. Plus, Iowa State Fair did economic impact data. Latino families spend about 2 to 1 to Anglo families at the State of Iowa Fair. It's crazy, the economic data that they're pulling. I had the wonderful opportunity to be the only non-staff of the IEDA to host a panel at the State Tourism Conference this year. It was a great opportunity and loved that. Rural Iowa Economic Development Summit Tourism's bigger than Disney and destination weddings. I was asked to speak at the Rural Iowa Economic Development Summit too about the tourism work here. Really fantastic. Teams Conference met with, that is about national gaming organizers, where they are bringing in the NCAA, National Junior College Athletic Association, the Olympics, things like that. Had great conversations at that representing Iowa and Marshalltown, specifically with the National Junior College Athletic Association. I think we have a lot of great opportunities working with Ryan Flack out there to bid on some of those things, because we have some really great assets. And then we're around statewide tourism events a lot, and it matters because we have some great professionals across the state, and we love to work together, and we want to promote that. Cool thing is February next year, we're hosting really state tourism professionals for a full week. We've got some people here, so that's going to be pretty exciting. So that's one way we promote it. Then we do it with some of the normal things that you see. You see the Livability, that's Marshalltown Magazines. We have some copies back there if you're interested. We have Travel Iowa, which is the magazine ad that is in there, web-based ads, all those things, but I want to highlight the 48 hours in Marshalltown. We submitted for that because there's a few things that I think Marshalltown owns. Most notably, we are the red, white, and blue capital of Iowa. No one can touch us. From what's happening at the county courthouse to the Raymond Veteran Park to the F4 Phantom at the Legion, if you're looking at the wonderful banners, not to mention the Iowa Vets Home, along with numerous other things. There are incredible things happening. So I submitted for 48 hours. What would you do in Marshalltown? Now, we added some pieces. We added Albion. We added the Meskwaki Cultural Center to weave them through the full history of America, and we were selected. So the summer magazine for Central Iowa Tourism will feature 48 hours in Marshalltown. That's pretty awesome to me. So people will be reading that, travelers, and they will get to see what we have to offer. I always say, if it comes down to story, Marshalltown should always win when it comes to a proposal, and we've had a lot of success with that. And then showing off Marshalltown, this might be my favorite. I had the wonderful opportunity to earn my professional guide certification through Iowa State. I promise you, Councilman Thompson, it's the only thing from Iowa State I'll ever put up in my office. There's a lot more Iowa stuff in there. But it has really allowed some opportunities, is because tourism and workforce recruitment, retention, economic development, it's all kind of one. It's why our office works so well. We're not siloed, we work together. And I've had the opportunity to give tours in various ways, well over 30 since July 1 of last year. But we offer curated tours if it may be a recruit coming in. I've had the opportunity to tour people from 4 different continents in the last 6 months, along with many different states. But we have given tours which has resulted in people moving here from out of state and in points from out of the country or different parts of our state. Been able to do tours with Emerson, Marshalltown Company, City of Marshalltown, Unity Point, McFarland Clinic, MECDINE, IVCCD, Marshalltown Community School District, bus tours with the retirees coming to town. I get to hop on and hang out with them for a couple hours, state agencies, and a lot more. We get to do this a lot, and it's awesome. It's one of my favorite things. Since I was 6 years old, I wanted to be a tour guide, and I'm just living out my dream here as the rising star in my midlife at 42. But the other things is coming down to conference and championship support. Our location is great for that. We have incredible facilities and amenities that help with that. I'm really happy Councilman Snyder talked about the trails, because we hosted the Iowa Trails Summit this year, and I was able to moderate with Hardin County and Trails Inc. about what does that collaboration look like. I'm telling you, there are a lot of opportunities we have in front of us. Nothing's a bigger game changer than the trails, just by history. It's huge. We hosted 8 different state championships this year. WHO Great Iowa Tractor Ride. We've got some unique sporting events. If they're lifting heavy weight, doing flips off of rings, we get to see a lot of cool stuff. We're having We're having the American Congress of Cribbage Players doing a regional tournament for the second year in a row. They'll bring people in from 12 different states to do that. Give me your tired and your weird, and we'll bring them out because people are really passionate about it. We get to host the professional development group here this year, but the one thing I really want to highlight, the 2024 NSSE conference, that's the National Society of Sales Engineers. It's from universities from throughout the country. Will be here in October for 3 days at Emerson. One of the things, they were just at NC State, that's where they had hosted it. They went into the convention center, and that was it. That was it. And so when we said, well, we can take any event and make it the event. We're big enough we can do anything, small enough we collaborate on everything. So we work hand in glove with the NSSE along with Emerson and others, and we actually have a meeting tomorrow as the leader of NSSE comes in from Charlotte. We will have 300 university students at Emerson and other companies around our community get to see the brightest of the bright, and they get to experience Marshalltown before they ever graduate college. That's a big win. Then festivals and fun. This is the thing. I'm not an event planner. That's not my goal in life, but we love to support really awesome stuff. And so we have a lot of festivals going on, and this is just scratching the surface. But the one that I think that I want to end really on is the one that I think ties everything together. I truly believe we can own some really incredible things. People can go around the world in about 15 minutes here. You can't do that anywhere else in the state. We only have one resident tribe in the state of Iowa. We also have made exceptional strides in esports, and it's not matched scholastically anywhere in Iowa. But that red, white, and blue, the center of it, that's kind of the core. The American story is here. And because of that, why don't we own the 4th of July? Why isn't that on everyone's calendar? I never understood that. And it seems a lot of you didn't understand that either. So we thought, we're here to collaborate, right? We're here to make it happen. How can we take the hard work of the fun of fireworks? We all know it. I remember them being at the vet's home when I was a little kid, and then going and getting the little plastic flags. That's what I remember. But how can we make it something that's bigger? Take pieces that people have done, but really put it on the map. So in 3 to 5 years, this is the most talked about July 4th festival in the state of Iowa. This becomes a calendar moment where you check it off, or where my kids bring back their kids to make sure they experience what they did. So what we're doing July 3rd and 4th, Councilman Lottie Hoff already spoke to this, but there will be a cruising car show along with a Damon Dotson music. That's all on 13th Street. That following morning at 10, we're going to start with a 30-entrant parade. We hope to grow that over the years. We just want it manageable. That will go from Main and 13th up through the vet's home and end at Sheeler Hall, where from that point, Arts and Culture Alliance is sponsoring the largest community picnic, where they're giving away 100 picnic blankets purchased from Zamora's. As kids' activities will happen, Restore Church is sponsoring that. And then we go into what really made me think of this. There will be a Little League game and a softball game. And we're looking at broadcasting options with that. But a female veteran will throw out the first pitch for the softball game, and a male veteran will throw out the first pitch for the Little League game. And then that will, as we move to the new location on Loon Creek, which I think will be fantastic to do the firework things. The best thing about this, we have the Veterans Home around the table every single time. Matins Club around the table every single time. Arts and Culture Alliance, Councilman Lottie Huff, Fireworks Committee, along with the Chamber, of course, the Little League softball, along with many others that are all coming. They've all done their piece. Now we're bringing it together. That may be the perfect example of my role, is take these pieces and bring them all together, and to kind of keep that tip pointed in the right direction. And of course, 13th Street District cannot be undersold how important they have been. But that really is where we're going, and this is my contact information. I want to tell you, there are so many opportunities in front of us that this was just a year of getting our bearings straight and starting to get going and building off what's been. But there are a lot of opportunities in front of us that will drive those economic drivers, but more importantly, drive the corners of your mouth up as you're smiling, enjoying what's happening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dylan. We need to talk, because in 2 years, the Benchmark Conference is looking for a place to meet. Last year, it was in Cedar Rapids. It was in Okoboji for many years, and Marshalltown ought to be the meet in the middle place for that in 2 years, so we'll talk about that. Excellent. Any comments, questions up here?
I'd just like to comment, killer presentation, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah. It was, as it was billed at Rotary, the greatest presentation ever.
That's right. That's right.
And this is some new stuff too, so yeah, thank you. Very good. Any public comment about this one? Staff direction on this one?
We would like to have council review the agreement and come back at the next council meeting, which will be the 10th, for your discussion and ratification.
Okay. John?
I would just note if there are any questions, Dylan is here today, but again, he's receiving that award on the 11th. So if there are questions that arise by the 10th, I'd encourage you all to reach out because there's a good chance that I will undersell it compared to Dylan, who you can tell why he is phenomenal at and receiving that award.
I just thought you were brave to get up and be the next one to speak after him. Okay, very good. Nice presentation. Thank you. All right, next discussion item is CBD vacant building signage program.
I'm just going to leave now. So Deb Millizer, Director of the Marshalltown Central Business District, and what I have to present, although I think is a nice project, is not nearly as exciting as Dylan's delivery. So I say this with all admiration, but Alicia, next time do not put me after Dylan. By the way, speaking of Alicia, she does a great job of keeping track of things, and occasionally I get a little off course because I'm a one-woman office as well, or I shouldn't say as well, but Alicia occasionally will send me a little reminder, and she's always nice and friendly and answers all my questions, so I very much appreciate you. But please don't put me after Dylan next time. So what I have to present today is, let me clarify, I am not asking for any money. I had a councilman give me that feedback last time when I talked to you about the food truck park, which I am still working on. I am not asking for any money. What I'm asking for is your blessing. We have in your packet, I gave some information, including a list of vacant buildings that are in the downtown. I would like to bring some interest and attention to those vacant buildings in the downtown. We created some, I think in your packet, I don't normally touch this, but you want me to touch?
You can open it.
Okay.
Just click the blue hyperlink.
Oh, not touch screen. Sorry. Thanks for the help. So this is the current listing of buildings that we have in the downtown that are vacant. Some of them are not ready to have somebody utilizing them just yet. Some of these are, city-owned buildings that are under the DTR grant or out for an RFP. And a lot of these are not, they're not being marketed right now that they're available. So we'd just like to bring some attention to them, of course, with the permission of the building owners. So our intention would be is that we would like to create signage to go into the windows. The largest size would be a 3x5. So we'd have to do some smaller sizes too because some windows are not large enough to have a 3x5 sign in it. What we did is we took information from our market analysis study that we did last year that came back with the types of businesses that we need for our downtown that would be supported in our downtown. And these are just samples of what those could be, and we'd just like to draw attention to these buildings and see if we can spark somebody's dream to reach out, building owner to say, oh, well, maybe I can move this building. Sometimes we just get set in our ways and just go on throughout life and kind of forget that we have something that is of value that the community could absolutely use. So these are just some simple examples that we would like to do. The signs would be 3x5 vinyl, largest 3x5 vinyl. They would be hung from the interior of the window, meant as a temporary sign in the window, not anything that would be up there forever and a day, and we could rotate them out. What we would like to do is we would like to get more of our buildings in use. We would like to reduce our vacant buildings at least by 20%, and we would like to increase our number of businesses that we need in our downtown at least by 10%. Of course, we want to increase it by more. I do not think that the city of Marshalltown has a current sign ordinance that specifically speaks to this project, but if there is, we would like to get your, if there is or isn't, I guess, we would like to get your blessing in order to do this, so that these signs are able to be put in these windows.
Okay, council, questions or comments?
I guess I'll go first. I've always thought that when the city has property available for sale, or other buildings uptown, even though you're being really successful, there ought to be a sign in there so people know. A lot of times you get to driving past and you don't notice. And if, vacant front, to me, it's kind of ugly, if you ask me. But here's an opportunity for you, and to get people thinking toward the kind of things that we want in those buildings.
Yes, and then also this also becomes a point of contact. One of the first point of contacts, or could be a point of contact with building a relationship with potential entrepreneurs in the community. These signs would have a QR code that lands onto the MCBD website, with contact information for both the MCBD and the whoever is in charge of the building. But that gives us an opportunity to start building that relationship, and we can connect them to other resources. Maybe it's the SBDC, the Chamber of Commerce, whatever it may be, versus people just driving around, oh, I don't know who has that building on Church Street, but they can contact us. They know that we're going to know. We can set them up. I wouldn't want these signs to just stay up stagnant. I would want to change them out periodically for more interest. A good example of this, we have the city has 20 East Main up for RFP. A year ago, I put a post on Facebook that said, "What do you dream of here?" People still comment on that post because there was an interest drawn, and people started dreaming. Hopefully, somebody will put something awesome in there that supports our downtown. But maybe this will initiate a dreamer to start having that conversation.
Somebody toured it today.
Good.
Your Honor, some of the nicest, downtowns, urban areas, malls I visit do this exact same thing, and even do it to a bigger degree than what you're proposing here. So I'm fully in favor of it. I'd like to make a motion to direct staff to bring back something, compare what our ordinance is or what they need to be, and give us, the council, some options on how they can proceed with this legally.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Further discussion up here or out there? Roll call.
Lottie Huff,
Yes.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Kell.
Yes.
Very good. Staff has direction. Thank you, Deb, for that.
Thank you.
All right. On to the next one, and that is Chapter 118, Peddlers, Solicitors, and Transient Merchants.
Yes, Your Honor. The City Clerk's Office manages the licensing for peddlers, solicitors, and transient merchants. And most of our transient merchants are local businesses that renew their license annually. This amendment is proposing to simplify the application process and the renewal process. It eliminates the background check requirement and the proof of a sales tax permit, since the city doesn't regulate this. The background check requirement does put an additional fee on the applicant, and we don't require that of restaurant establishments, so I thought that could be something we could do to simplify the process. It also becomes a problem when we have a out-of-town vendor that's here for an event and they aren't licensed, and we want to get them licensed same day. We can't get that done because the backgrounds take usually 2 to 14 days. I would still keep the background requirement for peddlers and solicitors who are going door to door. But that's just a suggestion to simplify things for applicants. And the amendment also addresses the requirement of operating in the Marshalltown Central Business District. The last time we revised the ordinance, we required anybody wanting to operate to get a 24-hour license in addition to their annual license. We'd like to move this to require them to instead have a public use permit, since they'd be parking on public property. There isn't an additional fee for that, and then the city would still be able to prove where they're parking. It still keeps the requirement that the business would be requesting the truck to be there, so they would park in front of the business, or it allows for the MCBD to request for trucks to be there for events.
Questions or comments for Alicia?
Your Honor, I think this all makes sense. I'd make a motion to direct staff to proceed as outlined in the memo.
Second?
Second.
Any further discussion up here or out there?
Mark Eaton, 1007 South 10th Avenue. Like Deb says, Alicia does a fantastic job. I just want to ask a question or clarification, or ask for you to think about this. When we have transient vendors from out of town come here, how are we protecting our citizens from scams of credit card fraud if those vendors don't have some kind of background check or some kind of, there's just this vacant hole right there where, you know, the circus guy comes to town and he sets up and he scans all your cards, and 2 months later, your bank accounts are empty.
Circus permit does fall under something different. Yeah, I know. But yeah, typically the transient merchants that we are seeing are food trucks, and generally they're established here in town that are applying for an annual license.
I haven't seen any snake oil salesmen for a while.
Deb Millizer, Director of the Marshalltown Central Business District, 34 West Main. I like your question. But I want to go back to, Alicia said that in order for it to be, the permit to be approved, that it would be a local business or the MCBD that would, for the downtown, would be making the request. And I would like to think in good faith that any of our businesses in the downtown's going to vet who comes in, and I'm certainly going to vet who comes in. So I do like your question, though.
Thank you. Other public comment? Okay. We got a motion and a second. Let's call the roll.
Lottie
Yes.
Mitchell?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Kell?
Yes.
Very good. Staff has direction on that one, too. And on to the last item for discussion is House File 2681, compliance with the automatic traffic systems, ATE, I think we've been calling it, but you prepared to address this one, Cindy?
Yes.
Okay.
I want to have a request that I'm not the last one on the agenda again. At least we don't have a game tonight.
At least you didn't follow Dylan Dose.
That's true. Okay. We knew that this was coming, and it's now here, and there are a number of things that are in conflict with the city's current ordinance. And because this law starts July 1 of this year, we just wanted to give you a brief updating of this, and I'm saying we because this is the Cindy and Mike Dog and Pony Show. Because the ordinances that have our fee structure and so on and so forth, as it relates to the ATE and portable cameras, has been changed. The purposes for the use of those revenues has been changed. As I put in my memo, it is now restricted to police, fire, and street infrastructure. So that it's very difficult when the council has already allocated 75% of the receipts towards other things that will be restricted July 1. Okay, so the first steps that we're proposing, at least for tonight, is direction to go forth and have the ordinances changed as it relates to the collection of and use of the receipts to become in line with this particular House file. And then the other thing is that some of the commitments, which I also list in the memo, will have to be examined. We'll have to pull their contracts and see where we are so that we can decide if we're going to let the contract just die its normal death on July 1 because of lack of funding, or if the council would choose to modify the agreement so that there would be a continuance of the service that the agreements have, and what funding sources that might be. Your turn.
Mike Tupper, Marshtown Police Department, and I am not Dylan Doe, so I will not be able to wow you. I think Cindy covered it. We have sent the current ordinance to our city attorney to get some input on how it needs to be revised so that we come into compliance with state law. We're also looking at signage because part of the new law has some specifications related to signage. We think we're probably going to be okay on the fixed sites. But we're examining that, and we're going to have to add some signage to be able to use the mobile. So, and then the permitting process is something that the city's going to have to go through, and it's yet to be determined process, which is a little disappointing because the state legislature knew that they were going to do this, and they were not prepared for a permitting process with the DOT. So we're still waiting for the DOT to tell us what the rules are for permitting and how that's going to work. And in theory, we're supposed to have our permit application submitted by July 1st. And so we're going to have a very tight timeline. Once we get the application submitted, we can continue to use the equipment until October 1st, and that's when DOT is supposed to make a decision about permits. But there's a lot of work ahead of us, a lot to be determined, but staff is doing everything that we can to push this forward and control it. So the first thing will be, hopefully we'll bring you a revised ordinance on June 10th for you to take a look at, so we can make any changes that are necessary to bring us into compliance with state law. Happy to answer questions.
Any up here?
If I may?
You may.
Yeah, Chief, if you have to have your signs for your mobile units, now I presume the signs will be mobile as well, so you don't have to keep putting up new ones, correct?
For mobile, as I understand it with signage, what you have to do is you have to put signage at your entrances to your community, identifying that you're utilizing mobile speed enforcement in your community.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Other council comments or questions? Public questions or comments? We know these have had the effect of slowing many of us down on Lincoln Way and is it 12th Avenue?
Yeah, so over 12,000 citations have been issued, so I think it proves that we have a problem here. Just 2 fixed sites, primarily, because we just went live with mobile not too long ago. We have seen reduced speeds in our fixed locations, but we still have a speeding problem because we're still issuing citations, obviously. But when we first went live, high speeds were very common. We're not seeing as many of those. But you've heard me say it before. I'll say it again. Speeding is the number one complaint that I receive on a daily basis, 3 or 4 times a day from somebody. And I know that there's a lot of people that are very vocal in their dislike for speed cameras, especially on social media. But if you pay really close attention to social media, you'll see a lot of people that are in support of what we're doing as well. And it's not uncommon for us to hear from people saying, when's it going on our street? When can we get it here? And when Captain Jones puts out the mobile and changes sites for the mobile, neighbors come out. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And can you keep it here permanently? So there are a lot of people in the community that support this, and I think that's important to remember. It's been a good tool for us. Cops can't be everywhere at once. It's not enough of us. And traffic is a big problem, and people are driving too darn fast. So put us out of business, Marshalltown. Put us out of business, obey the traffic laws, and we wouldn't be having this discussion.
Thank you. Any other comments about this one? If not, let's call it a wrap at 7:24. We're adjourned. Thank you for coming. I would have guessed longer if I had.
I was going to say 7, so it's a good thing I didn't.
How are you, sir?
What item are you wanting to see put on the agenda?